welcome to a Southend preview, and we're here, of course, with our end of season special, and of course, coming up this weekend is going to be the finals of all of our wonderful playoffs, and there's been some super excitement, Steve, over the last couple of days as well in the Southern League, and of course in the Isthmian League and in the Northern League as well. But we're focusing, of course, on the Southern League playoffs. But I mean, Steve, did you go to any of the games?
No, sadly I didn't. Still got my own club commitments at the moment, but I'm hoping to get to Peterborough on Monday. So I'll be there, Jimmy.
The blue shirt, yeah.
So, joining me and Steve, as you can see, he's Jimmy Dean, the manager of Peterborough Sports, and of course also joining us as well is Paul Hughes, manager of Hayes and Yedding as well. So, if it's all right, Paul, we'll start with Jimmy to start with, and Jimmy, your semi-final. One of the teams that we'd said as soon as we started this, we expected to be, pushing there in the at the top of the table and be around the playoffs, and it proved to be so. And what was the game like, first of all, sort of going into it on the other night, and also as well, how much nerves was there? Because I never get the name of the club right, so bear with me. Oval Church got in sort of right at the last minute. Was that a bit of a concern for you, that you're sitting in that, as I always call that, lurgy second position, where there's normally a team on a really good form that sneaks in at the last minute?
Yeah, it was. It's exactly what it was. I don't mind admitting it now. I wouldn't admit it before, because you have to get your mindset right for the players. But it was a big concern. They beat us twice in the league. The other opponent was Rushden Diamonds, who have had a great season, but they were stuttering into the playoffs. We've beaten 4 times already this year. We've just beaten the cup final. So from my perspective, we'd fought really hard to get second. It was in a bad way 3 months ago. I think going into the running, I think now we've played 13, we've won 9 and drawn 4. I think lost in the last 13 games against step 3. So we fought real hard to get the second place. We thought it was beyond us. And then to go and pull in Oval Church, who beat us twice, done a job on us twice. We're in good form, stuck in on goal difference on the last day. It weren't. I don't mind admitting it weren't ideal. It weren't what I fancied at all, to be honest with you. But you just have to get on with it, don't you?
Did you expect to be playing Diamonds, to be honest?
Oh yeah, that's why we wanted second place. You had Rushall, Colville, and Diamonds, and us as well. It's been for weeks. It's how it should have been. So from my perspective at the time, I'll probably get stick for it, but I fancied Diamonds at home more than I fancied the other sides.
Was it one of those things as well? For me, I've said this in previous sort of semi-finals, finals, when with Harlow. Does that concern always go there as well when you either lost to a team twice or you've beaten a team twice? I was at Enfield last night and they'd beaten Hornchurch twice, and I was very, very nervous about that thing, because you've always sort of play a team, beat them twice, and the confidence of the players is, look, we're going to go into this, we've beaten them twice already, it's just about turning up and we're going to win again. But of course, in your sort of side of it, if you just said, you lost twice to Oval Church, was that another thing of more determination to go out there and make it third time lucky with them?
Well, David, the psyche of football's crazy, isn't it? So I wanted Diamonds because we beat them 4 times. Didn't want Oval Church because they'd beaten us twice. Then when you find out you got Oval Church, then you flip it in your own mind. You turn around to yourself and you're saying, well, they can't beat us again. We probably won't beat Diamonds again. You can't keep beating the same side. That's how it goes. The good thing about being beaten by them twice was that we weren't well set in either game. We weren't in a good place. We had players missing. And I thought I knew what went wrong. And I thought I knew how to put it right. My mindset is the same now. I was nervous. I remember sitting down playing FIFA on the day of the game while I was leaving at half 5, and I put FIFA on at half 4 to try and kill an hour. Played 2 games, couldn't play no more. Got up, walked around a bit, sat down, played it again. And then But when I got there and we started doing the warm up, when I see where my boys were, I see the mentality and the mindset they had. I was cool. Do you know what I mean? Like it's funny how it goes. And into the game, I was fine until the last 10 minutes. When I think they'll admit they have admitted they didn't deserve an equaliser, but I'll admit they should have got one at the death. So I don't know, mate. It's the eyes and nose mentally of football. The psyche, it's crazy, isn't it? Like you can look at it, you can paint a picture however you want to play it, and I have to do it every week when we play a team. When I do my team talk, I normally try and talk a team up. I try and talk a team up because that's how I know my players. I know they need to know they've got a challenge in front of them. But this time, I found myself trying to talk Church down, to try and say, look, we can go and do this. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was the mindset, really, mate. I don't know if that answers it, but that was how I was on the lead up to the game.
How many were there at the other night?
741 officially, I think.
Mm-hmm. So not big. Is that a bigger crowd than what Peterborough normally get?
We've averaged 249 this season. It's our biggest ever game. Right. It felt like the place was rocking, mate. For us, that was a big gate. I'd imagine Church bought 60. We're both small clubs, you see, as an Church. Church bought 60. We took, that you'd probably say we had 700 there then. That was on Tuesday night. So I'd hope on a bank holiday Monday and the game being a bit bigger, we could probably go and get 8, 9. Colville had 1,200 at their game. So probably 800 of theirs was there. They'll probably bring 4 or 5. I hope we get towards 12, 1,300 for the final, to be honest. Posh ain't playing. There's no clashes. We had a clash with Stamford on Tuesday night as well. We do share a bit of support with them because obviously we're both local sides. But yeah, I'd hope for around at least 1,200. I would, which is massive. When I took over, like I say, it's my 7th year, but we've only actually completed 5. This will be the 5th season we've actually completed. We've only completed 4 to now. When I took over, I was managing in front of 40, 50 people at step 6 against Chesters, Rawns, that kind of side. So to be playing in these kind of games, for us, it's fantastic. And the other side of it, I've said this quite a few times. Like we've got to the FA Cup 4 qualifying round. I mean, you've done it. You've got there, Paul, a couple of times, haven't you? The FA Cup first round.
Yeah.
We've got to the 4th round a couple of times, and we played Fylde away when they was in the National League, which was it was a nightmare draw. We got Hammond 6-1, and then we got Kingston this year away. We got beat 2-1, but we probably should have got something, to be honest with you. But it just seems like every time we get to that point where you're going to get an opportunity to really showcase your club and get them up in the lights, we just haven't done it. Probably because the side we're playing is too good, or for whatever reason. But this time we've actually gone and won the game. And the fantastic thing about it, from my perspective, is 5, 6 days, 6 days later, we get a chance to go and say, look, we're here again. You know what I mean?
Just leaping ahead a bit, Jimmy. I don't want to preempt Monday's game, but what have you got to do much to your ground for National League level? If
we went up, I don't think we have. No, I don't think there's a big difference. But we're lucky. One of the guys who's a shareholder of the club, he does ground development. If there is, the chairman will get it done. And we ain't ready for that. Financially, we're probably middle of the league, our league. If we don't have coaches, we don't have travel. We have an old minibus that's broke down at the minute. I'm not pleading poverty because we're far from that. You know what I mean? The chairman looks after us, but we ain't ready. We weren't ready to come up to step 4, though. We weren't ready to come up to step 3. And it's a massive, it's a real 50-50 game. If we go up to step 2, we're not ready, but you just go with it, don't you? You go with the tide.
Because you've got a lot of players who have been with you for quite a while, haven't you? People like the Jones boys, Dion Sembi Ferris and Josh Moore, people like that have been with you a lot.
Dion coming later, I mean, I think it's a lovely story. I've got these boys I was playing with at St Ives at step 4, and the new manager come in, he didn't fancy it for them. I packed up, so they come with me at step 6. So I had a great start, you know what I mean? We lost a few of them, but then, like you say, step 5, we got in Dan Laura, we got in the 2 Jones brothers, we got in Lewis Smoke. I'm sure there's plenty more as well that we got on at step 5. And a lot of them have stuck with us through. But this season, mid-season, we've had to have a little bit of a rebuild. We only bought 3 in the summer. I thought good business. But we got, the injuries that we had in the middle. It was horrible, mate. It was actually horrible. But we settled it down, and we go into Monday's game, and a particularly nice thing was Jordan Nicholson broke his leg against Havel Church, which is why I started him against Havel Church which wasn't their fault, but obviously the boys have a bit of a bee in his bonnet, hasn't he? First start, it was his first start for 5 months, and I started him on when was it? Tuesday night. Because like I say, you think he just had that bit of extra motivation. He got through it, so he's available now. And I didn't expect him to play again this season, I'll be honest with you. So we go in, apart from Manish, who's ruptured his ACL and torn his meniscus, but he's been out all season. We go in good nick, mate. There can't be no excuses from us in that side of it. If we don't play on the day or we get beat by a better team, then I'll shake Steve O's hand and say good luck to you. He's a good guy, and to be fair, Cobham's a good side, good club, good people, supported well. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
And I suppose the excitement for the club must be at, should we say, almost epic proportions with what's coming up.
Mate, do you know what? I'm getting butterflies in my belly talking to you. Do you know what I mean? Just talking about it, I'm getting butterflies in my belly. I ain't one of these who come on here and I'll sit here and say, we've got to keep our composure, which that goes without saying. That's obvious. But, it's huge. It's huge. We stepped 6. 4 seasons ago, we stepped 6. And I say seasons, not years, because we lost 2 years, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Killed you as well, Paul, didn't it? You was top a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we were up there, yeah.
Yeah, we was top as well. I'm not saying we would have won it because Royston was flying, Tamworth were going well as well, but we was top when the season got stopped. And, I think any team that was top then, or in that top 3 then, to still be doing it 3 years later, to have kept that momentum despite the COVID, has done really well to be there. I think that more than that, they're right to be there. But like I say, we're all really, really excited. 4 seasons ago, we're playing step 6. My first game was against Dorchester as a manager, and now we're playing against Colville in a one-off game at home in Peterborough to have a chance of going playing in the National League. And that's what it is. That's the truth.
So, Paul, with yourself, it was really good to see that you didn't have a Western Supermare. You right. So, probably one of the only leagues, I think, you guys, where the actual 3rd and 4th place teams have actually got through. 2nd and 3rd place teams have actually got through. What was it like for Hayes and Yedding? Because anybody looking from the outside in sees probably Hayes and Yedding as being one of the top clubs in step 3 at the moment. So what was that like having Western Supermare come to you, and what was the whole night like for you guys, and what was the attendance at your place?
Attendance, I think it was 607. That for some reason that figure's in my head, so I might be wrong. I think it was that, which is obviously big. For us, big. No, they're a good team, Western. Really good team. Scott Bartlett's got them playing really good football. And we got a lovely surface, so it suited them down on the ground. But, I have to be fair, we were slightly better than them on the night. They were coming into the game with a great run of form. I think them and Taunton were top of the form table. And that's what I worried about. Similar to what I think Jimmy's saying about Aldershot sneaking in. When Western sneaked in because they had a really poor start, they were the team everyone didn't want to play because of their form. And they're good. They're a good team. So, no, it wasn't. It was a tough game. But yeah, we're playing well. We've got good players, got a good team. And it was a game that suited us actually because of the style of play. They came at us, and that in a way suits us. Yeah, it's a good game, really good game. Really enjoyed it. Similar to what Jimmy said, I suppose it was emotional, obviously, because you want to win the game, but I enjoyed it because it's a good game of football. Yeah.
It must help though, having two lads like Francis and Martin, Moses and Manuel got about 60 goals between them this season.
Yeah, Mo's got 40. Mo broke the record actually on that game for the most goals scored in the season for our club. Manny Duku was before him, but that was at step 4, so he's done it at step 3. So that's a massive. Franny hasn't scored. Franny's scored about 24, 25, I think. But yeah, together they're very good. You know, very pacey, very powerful. Mo's experienced. So yeah, good pairing.
I mean, was it, you know, for yourself? I mean, your league. I mean, we've been speaking about it since we've been doing the show. Your league was extremely tight. You know, no one knew who was going to win the title. It was like you could throw your hat on it, really, to who was going to win it, and then sort of Taunton sort of just pulled away a little bit right at the very, very end. So I mean, if you was probably asking a lot of people would probably say Hayes and Yedding were going to win the league. So was that? Did you find extra pressure going into that because of what everybody assumes as you being sort of one of those sort of top clubs in Step 3? Was that a difficult thing to go into playing Weston-super-Mare?
Again, I didn't know that's what people think, and it's genuinely true. I didn't know that's what they thought about Hayes and Yedding. I know they've been conference prem, so that maybe that's got that image that that's what they maybe are. But no, there wasn't that there. The pressure is, I think, any pressure, I think it just comes from us. We want to win, you know. So I think that's where the pressure comes more than anything else. But what was the question again, David? So I've just literally finished work and my brain is crazy. I do corporate coaching, so I'm literally in front of this screen for 5 hours. This is a flip chart behind me. So I'm like, and you can't switch off doing that work. You're constantly on it. So sorry,
I was just saying it must be difficult, you know. I mean, going up against Weston-super-Mare. I mean, you know, probably everybody would have had you down to win that game. So I mean, you know, what was it you were speaking to? You know, how did the team talk go beforehand? You know, before the game and leading up to the game with the players.
Well, they'd beaten us at our place. So if we were expected to win that game again, that surprises me. They beat us, and we drew at their place. Away at Western, both tight games. We felt we got slightly cheated in the first game, so that was part of the team talk. You know, the guys basically handballed the ball in the back of the net in the last minute. So you know that was part of the chat. The lads had felt that from the time it went in as well. So no, but we knew what they are. We know what they do, and I think that we coped with them well on the night. And I always felt that we had maybe a little bit too much going forward, a little bit too much pace, too much power for them. But then he made a switch, actually. He played his midfielder centre-back. He was very quick, which is, you know, I didn't think he'd do that. And he actually coped quite well at the back there with the pace we've got. So, yeah, it was just a good game. I enjoyed it. Again, I felt we deserved to win the game overall, but it was a slog.
Well, is it one of those things as well when you go into those sort of semi-finals, finals? Do you feel that that the other side as such knows how you're going to play? Do you then try and sort of almost outthink yourselves by sort of saying, well, look, if we do this, a bit like what you just said there with your opposition there yesterday, do you try and almost, you know, sort of second think yourself really and start moving things around?
I think you can do. I think you can always fall into that trap, can't you? Thinking too much. I just think it's nice to work with your strengths. I think that's key. Know what you do well, know what your product is, and just rest on that product, you know. And if you're confident in that product, then that's what you deliver on the day, and that sort of takes the nerves away a little bit. They've proven that product works. So I think that's one mindset to go into it, take the pressure off. But you can overthink things. I think all managers can do that because you want to win, you want to be thorough, but there's only so much you can control in a football game. You have to get the rub of the green, decisions from referees, injuries, all that sort of stuff has to go your way. So I just think my personal opinion is just, you know, focus on your strengths. We know what the opposition do. We don't take them lightly, obviously. If there's anything there that we really have to seriously consider, then obviously we will. But yeah, just have confidence in the product that we've got and what we deliver.
Interesting, you said there, Paul, that you enjoyed the game. Well, I've had experience of a couple of, or 2 or 3 playoff games myself, albeit at under 18 level, and I was a nervous wreck in all of them. I don't know how
yeah, when I say enjoy it, I mean, yeah, that's loosely enjoyable because obviously, and I'm sure Jimmy's the same. Some of the decisions in these games are just ridiculous that I can't help but shout. You know, I can't help but lose my rag on some of the decisions that are made in the game, but I don't think that's just natural. Sometimes I feel that, you know, our group needs to be more vocal, so sometimes we have to we have to shout from the sideline was what we want them to shout to each other on the pitch. Unfortunately, it's the level we're at, and sometimes we have to do that. But so you're obviously involved in it, and you're very emotionally involved in it, obviously. But I enjoyed it because Western come at us and they made it a game. They didn't just have 10 men behind the ball and try and block what you're doing. They actually come to win, which is why
I didn't do a Villarreal on you.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I enjoyed it, because I felt it was a really good football.
I mean, you're talking about officials, and I suppose I can ask both of you this question as well, but as Paul first. I mean, like, how long before the final do you get to find out who your officials are, and is it sometimes that you would expect officials in these sort of games to be a step up to what on a refereeing level to what you would normally have on a Saturday afternoon? Would you expect it to be a sort of a conference almost referee to be coming in and refereeing these sort of high pressure games at the end of the season?
Well, the playoff final, you mean?
Yeah.
I would say it's common sense. Put the best man in for a game like that, without a doubt. But I don't look out for referees. I only find out who I've got on the day. These stuff that you can't control is whoever's reffing the game. But yeah, there are bad ones and there are better ones. But yeah, I don't know. In my honest opinion, I've yet to have a good one. But that just might be me, because I'm very critical of the way they ref the games, because it's like, as Jimmy's probably noticed in the game and in the pro game, is you can't tackle now. If my fullback runs into the corner and he falls over, it's a foul. If he falls on top of the ball, it's a foul. They feel pressured to give them. If I go in full-blooded on the halfway line, it's a foul. If I do it in the penalty box, it's not a penalty. I don't know how you can tackle without making contact with the player, which is an excuse I was given in the semi-final why there was a foul given at the halfway line in our game. I said, it's not a foul, it's a tackle. He said, you hit the player at the same time as the ball. I'm like, well, how do you nick a ball without touching the player? So there's a few things there that I still find hard to grasp. But yeah, that's just me. I might be, old, grumpy.
Well, not as old as me, and I'm glad I played in the 70s,
I'm as bold as you,
because at least I could tackle.
Yeah, that's my take on it. I don't know what Jimmy says.
I mean, was your take on the referee, mate? Or
yeah, no, I certainly won't be looking finding out who the ref is. You might be one of them when they turn up and you're like, oh God, you know what I mean? But in general, to be honest with you, I don't look too much into it. I don't come away, and very often I don't in the game. I'll get if I feel strong enough, I'll shout across the pitch to the ref. I don't care if there's 500 people there or 5 people there. If I think he's taking the piss, I'll shout across the pitch. If he's 100 yards away, I'll shout and I'll say it. It's not something I do often, though. Do you know what I mean? I'm not someone who's back. I'll try and talk to the linesman. Sometimes they get things wrong, and as long as they turn around, they acknowledge, and the linesman acknowledges me and says that he might have got that wrong. I know that don't help the situation on the pitch, but that helps me mentally. Do you know what I mean? If they're all telling me that I'm an idiot and I'm wrong and they're right, then I'll have an argument. But like I say, I've never been booked for anything, dissent or anything else, until we got the winner the other day against Diamonds, and I've gone and done knee slide at Sixfields because it was in the 94th minute against our local rival. That's the first time I've been booked.
I was there.
I was, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you see it then, didn't you? So I give it a little knee slide, but that's a local derby. They give it to me. The fans give it to me. So, it is what it is. I'm sure they give it to me when they see this interview, but I don't really care.
Paul, how many are you expecting to be at Hayes and Yedding at the weekend?
A good question. I don't know. The capacity, the council have allowed them 1,600.
I just think that's a good answer as well, Paul. That's a good answer because we don't do it. No one's got an idea what we're walking into.
No. Our average crowd, again, you're talking about the size of clubs. Our average crowd, we range between 250 and 300. That's the truth. So, that amount of people going through your gate doesn't generate what you need. As you know, you need more than that. So, no, we haven't got, but we've got a real good hardcore 200. They'll take 100 away. You know, that's probably why it's got perception of a big club, because they'll take a good away support, but that 100 will watch the home game as well, you know. So they've got a real good core, passionate group of supporters at the club, which is really, you know, really good. But yeah, in terms of amount of people, no, I mean, 607 for us, it's like, we've never had that for years. You know, well, I tell a lie, obviously the FA Cup games were, but you're playing against pro clubs who are bringing loads, aren't you? So exclude the FA Cup games, that's the most we've ever had.
I'm looking at when you had 392, you know, earlier on in the season, but I mean, again, that was a Tuesday night as well, which I suppose you're hoping for a bit more than 392.
392, who's that against?
That was against Farnborough.
Yeah, well, Farnborough was supported, so they're not far away.
Yeah,
so yeah, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they sell them all. I mean, they'll come out of the woodwork, didn't they? I mean, we had that 1600 at the Oxford United game, you know, and that was half. So that was 800 Hayes supporters from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I know last night, I say Enfield's record crowd, I think was just over 900, and last night they had 1900 in there last night.
Wow.
It was bouncing, and I think the Bishop Stortford one was 1600, I think, somewhere around that sort of mark. So if it had been an Enfield Cheshunt final, I'd like to think how many would have been in there. I think it probably would have hit the capacity 3,000, I think, probably, but we'll have to wait for that for another time. But I mean, players-wise, though, I mean, are you guys all sort of fully fit in both your squads, and how between now and Monday do you meet up with the guys, and also as well, how hard is that to keep their feet on the ground, you know, ready for Monday's games? Jimmy?
I'm sorry. We're training tonight. We're training tonight. See, another thing as well, while I'm expecting a little push from the boys, we've actually been Saturday, Tuesday or Saturday, Monday now for 6 or 7 weeks in this running. I don't think, I know Cobham's had a load, but I don't think they've had the same load as us. Because we've had cup finals and whatever else we've had to fit in, missed league games. So we've had 6, 7 weeks. We've got a nice 6-day rest now to fully recharge the batteries. Like, it's felt like we're running on empty a little bit. Like the performances haven't been there, but we've been grinding out results. That's how it's felt. Tuesday night, obviously, we've come out all guns blazing. You know, the energy in that performance was as good. Certainly, probably the best energy we've had this season. I think if we get this, I'm not going to go into it too much, but if we get this right now going into Monday, it's going to give us a real bounce. You know, we're training tonight, and then we'll see what we do after that. Because I think we might tire it a little bit for different people. Let's say that. But I'm hoping we can get this right. The physicality we put in, the load we put in, hopefully, you know, be nice and fresh for this game on Monday.
How are you feeling towards that? I know you beat them at home, didn't you? But then you got beaten away a bit.
So we played them away. The day we lost, we played Kingston on the FA Cup 4th round. It's not an excuse, it's just the truth. We played them on the FA Cup 4th round. The Cubs never got to the first round. Big deal. Missed a couple of sitters right at the end to get the replay. Didn't get it. We went to Colville on a Tuesday night. We was obviously very low. They hadn't played. I think they'd had 9 days off or 8 days off. So they've been thinking about 8, 9 days of repeat response. I think we was 4 or 7 points clear in the league, with obviously a win at the time was going to really open it up. We was very deflated, very down. We actually went out to start. Well, we went 2-0 up. Then Colville turned to screw on us. And we capitulated. We gave up. Well, we ain't done that many times. And listen, they was excellent. They didn't give us a second. They was all over us, and we had no answer to it. Mentally and physically, we was gone. It was 6-2, and let's be honest. If I'm honest, they probably could have had another 3 or 4 more. They did stop it. It was relentless that night, and I come away thinking, God, do you know what I mean? The only saving grace I had in my head was that we were so bad. You know, we had no heart that my teams have. We had nothing. Physically, we was gone. Mentally, we was drained. The return, it was just a bad game. We was in the middle of that, midst of that run where we was in injuries or just coming out of it at the other end. You know, I brought in a young boy who was actually on the bench. I mean, Dion got injured in the game after about 20 minutes. I brought a young boy on from Yaks who sits on their bench at step 4. That's how deflated like we were, it was a bad game between two teams that were good going around in the league, but we won 2-0. I don't know how. Like it was just. I think we took our chances. They didn't have theirs. We defended well. So we haven't played well against Colville yet. That's something I'm taking a little bit of art about as well. We haven't actually played well. Yeah, we beat them once, but by their own admission, they played bad. By my admission, we've been terrible. And then, okay, we beat them 2-0. But I'd have to hope that we're going to turn up. I mean, there's obviously going to be a lot of nervous energy. The football's not going to always be true for both teams because there's so much at stake. I can't help feel that we'll be ready for this one. I can't help but feel it. I don't mean that we're going to win because they're excellent. They are excellent. But like I say, 50-50. I think we'll be nice and sharp. I think they'll be the same. And yes, may the best team win because there's a lot at stake, isn't there?
Paul, I mean yourself. I mean, how many times do you meet up with your squad, and how you sort of keeping tracks of them?
Yeah, we'll train tonight and we'll train Saturday. It's a bit of a running joke with my lads that I don't think they've ever had a day off. We're quite sticklers for training. It's just how we are. So now we'll train and just prepare for what we're obviously going to do on Monday. So that's how we prep for the game. I think we're confident. We're in good form. Believe in what we're doing. Hopefully the thing is with all these games, it's a one-off final, isn't it? So it's just, you never know how it's going to go. So it's just the uncertainty of that. Obviously, what can you do? All we do is prep them like we normally do all the right things, or what we consider to be the right things, and cross our fingers it goes well on the day.
I said this to Jimmy earlier, Paul, but assuming things go well for you on Monday, how ready are you? I know ground-wise you're fine because you've got a new stadium, but how ready are you for National League?
We've got a new stand. I think we haven't got a new stadium. The stand is has nothing inside it, so we haven't got a bar. We need a bar. We need a function room. We need the basics to generate the money to survive there. So we've got a lot to do. The board knows they've got a lot to do in terms of that. But it's not as easy, having talked to the chairman, but it's not as easy as you think to get the planning permission, get through the restrictions, the red tape when you've got quite a strict council as you do in London. So it's not quite as easy to get everything done that the fans want done. Now I know that because I've spoken to the chairman. So beside the point, we still need a bar, we still need a function room, and we still need to rent our 3G pitch out, which we don't, believe it or not, because we haven't got a bar or a training facility, a change room facility to host businesses or people that want to come and use a 3G. So lots of that needs to be thought through thoroughly. They're starting an academy for next season, the academies that everybody runs in their clubs as a way to start generating money and to help the community as well. So that's a good starting point, but those things don't really, they're not really profitable until 2 or 3 years down the line. So there's things in place, but no, we need to do a lot more to be able to sustain ourselves at that level of football.
Well, I just got another quick insight into that mindset as well. And I know it's the same for you, Paul, because I just checked the league. It'd be a bit easier to swallow. And I'm not setting myself up to fail because you just heard the way I was talking, but it'll be a bit easier to swallow that it is second and third in our final. But by effect, if they win the game, including the playoffs, their points total would go above us. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. They would have finished second in effect. If we win the game, we would have finished second in effect. If you get knocked out by a team that's 15 points behind you, I'd be bitter. It's football, it's how it goes. But I would be bitter, If I lose on Monday, I'm going to be bitter anyway, yeah, if I lose. But if we lose to the 90th minute goal, if you lose on penalties, you lose in extra time. It's going to be hard to take. You get beaten, and then they would be above you in the league. You can take that, can't you? You can go away and say that, fair play. If you got done by a side that's 15, 20 points behind you, or 10 points.
It's like Alf Church. They were 14, 15 points behind you, weren't they?
Well, it's exactly that. Yeah. You know, and they've caught a bit of wind at the right time in the sails, and you know, and they're a good side, mate. I'll tell you, that was a big win the other night, a real big win. You know, we adjusted a little bit to them because of how they play. You know, not too much because, like Paul said, you have to be you. You have to be you in these games. You can't be throwing too much in. There's enough to think about already. But if they had knocked us out coming in on the like they've been in the playoffs for months. If they'd have come in on the last day and knocked us out, credit to them. I would have been bitter, mate. There's no two ways about it. You know.
Well, I mean, on that, before we finish, I mean, with my side, Arlo, we were 20 odd points in front, I think, of Thurrock, and they turned us over in the semi-final at home. It was.
How do you feel then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it weren't good.
You know, it ain't right, is it? It's not like we know the rules when we start, and that's fine, yeah. But going into this, I've got a clear head because we weren't good enough to make a title challenge to Banbury over the season. They was the better team, and we're not going to get beat by a team who deserve it any less than us if that happens. So those pressures are gone. You know, the one that is with me a little bit is we've been there for, you know, the middle season. We only played 6 games, 1, 2, drawn 3, lost 1, and got to the last 16 of the trophy. But we was took off the top of the league 2 years ago, and we're still there now. Do you know what I mean? So that'll be with me a little bit. But Colville were in and around the playoffs that year as well. So I ain't got that hanging over my head, and it would do. I don't mind admitting it. If I had that in the back of my head, this ain't going to be right if these beaters, that would, you know, it would get to me a little bit. But like I say, you know, they win, they go above us on points. If we win, we stay above them on points. We're one in front of them. I can live with that. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, listen, guys, we wish you all the very, very best for Monday. Hopefully, you get what you want out of it at the end of the game. And say thanks for joining us today, and I really do appreciate giving up your time. And we wish everybody at Hayes and Yeading, everybody at Peterborough Sports, all the very, very best for the game on Monday.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
Cheers.
Well, we're back, of course, with the second half of our South in preview, and unfortunately, Steve he's busy, so can't come on for the second part of the show. But really lucky to say we've got Lee from Bristol Manor Farm in the top left-hand corner as I'm looking. We've got Adam from Colville in the top right-hand corner again, and then we're also joined by Spencer from Farnborough as well, bottom left as I'm looking. We've got Eddie, of course, from North Lee, just underneath me in the middle and the bottom row. And the old rogue himself in the bottom right-hand corner learns everything from his brother, of course, Paul Halsey, in the bottom right-hand corner of the picture as well. But we'll start off as we've done with Jimmy and, of course, with Paul as well. We'll start off with Lee at Bristol Manor Farm. And Lee, I mean, first questions first. I mean, you know, how are you? And also as well, how did the semi-final go for yourselves?
Well, like I say, personally buzzing about the fact that we're now in the final of the playoffs, and the semi-final went as well as it could have done in terms of winning the game. Being away from home against the side that finished second is always going to be a tough task, but to beat them in front of a crowd of just shy of 1,200 people was a pleasing night for everyone connected to our club, and now it's on to the final on Monday.
So, I mean, was you the sort of, I mean, looking at the table that I've got in front of me, probably wasn't confirmed 100% that you was going to get into that sort of playoff position until the final game of the season. And then you sort of playing Frome, and, you know, as a table would say, you possibly the underdogs in that game because of where Frome finished. So, as I've said to, we've had general discussions quite often, me and Paul, from where, you know, normally it's the team coming in to those sort of playoffs that are possibly the most dangerous team to play, that 5th position, are always that sort of place that you don't really want to play. Going in against Frome, I mean, how had you done against Frome previously in the 2 league games previous?
With Frome, we lost at home 3-0 back in October, and then we played them about 3 games prior to the end of the season, and we drew 0-0 at their place. And probably on the day we shaded it in terms of chances, and it gave us confidence going there in the semi-final that we knew they were beatable by ourselves.
And of course, now you go into that sort of final now against Winchester as well. I mean, looking forward to it. I mean, what's the nerves like in the camp, in the whole of the club as well?
Oh, it's brilliant. We're embracing it. We're relatively new to Southern League football. Like, this is our 5th season, at this level. And yeah, we're all enjoying the moment at the moment. Since the turn of the year, we've probably shown title winning form, to be honest. We've had a lot of momentum in the recent months, and we're hopefully carrying that into the final on Monday. But like I say, we just can't wish the game was tomorrow, really.
So how do you sort of keep your feet on the ground and keep the players' feet on the ground going into that sort of final? You've already beaten the second place team. You're now going in against Winchester, of course, the fourth place team. And how do you sort of keep everybody's sort of feet on the ground? And have you got sort of training between now and then?
Yeah, we give them the tonight off. We'd normally be in tonight, but we're gonna train on Saturday, obviously for it being closer to Monday in terms of like a get together. But likewise, Winchester are an outstanding team. We played them the last game of the season, drew 2-2. So we know we got to be at it on Monday. That's the focus in itself. Like we had a bad result down at Winchester, albeit we had a man sent off in the game at 1-1. But like a couple of weeks ago, if you we played the game and we got full respect for Winchester. So we're like, our focus is well and truly on the job in hand, and we all know we got to be at our game to carry out hopefully a great day for the club.
I mean, one of the things I asked, and I'll ask the other guys this as well when we get to them as well, is you go into that sort of game, you played each other twice, and no disrespect, they probably know how you play, you probably know how they play, but does it then come into your head then to try and tinker with it a little bit, to try and sort of throw the other side off, maybe formations, maybe players, just to sort of, throw them off a little bit?
Definitely not really. Like in the way we are, I believe how we set up is what we will be like playing to our strengths with. But as you say, like we've seen stuff in Winchester that they're good at certain things, and we got to try and nullify that. But most of the time, when I pick a team, I make it all about my team in terms of we got to play to our strengths, and if we do that, I fancy us against anybody.
I mean, injuries-wise, though, Lee, I mean, are you all sort of injury-free, or have you still got injuries there that are going to cause you issues?
We're like I said, I think we're pretty much at full strength going into Monday. I think there's a lot of aches and pains around the group. I mean, players that have had to turn themselves around quite quickly. But what I also say is when these sort of games are coming up, players tend to override those injuries far quicker than if it was a game that didn't mean a lot at the end of the season.
I mean, what sort of feedback have you had from your fans and from the club, around sort of, taking out Froome and, because again, what is 9 points behind Froome in the positions on the table. I mean, what's the atmosphere been like around the club and with fans and everything else?
Yeah, again, like our club's like a relatively small club for the level, but our fan base and our supporter base is growing like by the week, by the game. There's a nice experience down there. There's a buzzing atmosphere, and the supporter feedback is say they can't wait till Monday as well. But obviously what we got to do is make sure that we're not dining out too much on the back of that victory in the semi-final. It was enjoyable, and it was a nice night. It was probably a sleepless night for the right reasons after the game. But we're like our objective at the start of the season has always been to try and give ourselves a chance of promotion, and we're now down to one game. And if it's all on like that 90 minutes or however long it takes, and hopefully we'll be victorious in that.
I mean, again, it's going to be that sort of nervous tension. I mean, is it going to be a case of, do you keep to the same routine on Monday? Will you have that same routine of having them in and at the same time and everything else? Does it all stay the same, or is there little changes that you make because it's going to be a final?
No, obviously exactly the same for any away day. We've got a coach going with the players and committee on. Leave Manor Farm about 10:30 because obviously Winchester's a couple of hours drive for us. We'll have a little stop on the way like we always do for away games at that distance. And the only difference this time, it seems like we've got a couple of coach loads of supporters going when normally we're sharing a coach with the supporters. So we're keeping like the players and committee members slightly separate from maybe a party atmosphere going down. Hopefully it'll be a big party coming home. But again, we know we got a massive task ahead of us in trying to get past Winchester, because I for one got full respect for them and their club and their players. But we're something we're embracing and looking forward to very much.
Attendance wise, I mean, what are you expecting at the final? I mean, the last time you played them there, it was 303. I'm expecting a few more.
Yeah, definitely more than that. Like I say, Froome on Tuesday evening was just shy of 1,200. Froome are very much a well-supported side. Is in a town, great situation for a ground to be. Winchester probably not as well supported, but like what I'd say is that this sort of games tend to get people out of their houses, out of their, like, out of, away from other things they might be interested in to support a local team. So I expect Winchester to have a very sizable crowd there, and we're open to play our part in that by taking as many Bristol Manor Farm supporters as possible. So yeah, like I say, like as they're in a guest, it should be probably in excess of 600-700 people there, and hopefully more.
And hoping for a better result than last time.
Yeah, it couldn't get a lot worse, that one. But no, like, again, that keeps us. It gives us a little bit of hopefully revenge in our head. But we know, like, we back ourselves. We know Winchester are a good side, and I just think it's a great occasion. And like non-league football as a whole, like you're talking to the other gentlemen there, that clubs that I know about and got well, so good support. So I think non-league football definitely since the pandemic has had a bit of a surge in terms of attendances.
No, definitely. Lee, I'm just going to jump into Adam just for a second, if we can. I mean, Adam, yourselves, you've got, Peterborough Sports. How was your semi-final? And, and of course, you in that sort of different scenario where, of course, as I was speaking to Jimmy earlier on, the second and third teams have made it to the playoffs. And he was saying in his interview that he did with us earlier on that, if you beat him or he beats you, when you look at the points if you gave each other points instead of a promotion, you would deserve that promotion because one or the other of you is going to finish above each other. I mean, would you think of the same sort of mindset?
Yeah, funny enough, I spoke to the non-league paper earlier, and I said that, to be honest, Banbury deservedly won the league, and comfortably so in the end, because they were ruthless and relentless and about the business well. So fair play to them. And then the next best teams were second and third, and rightly so. That whoever wins out of us, I think they're 1 point difference in it, so pretty much close. So yeah, I think if you're looking at a table and points, then yeah, like Jimmy said, I totally agree.
I mean, attendance wise, how many were there at the other night?
It was absolutely bouncing, by the way. I think there was nearly 1,300 there.
Yeah.
And what we have managed to do is we've managed to keep lots of fans since the pandemic as such. We get lots. It's a bit of a Leicester City town, but people have come down and seen what they've seen and such, and the type of football and the level of football as well. I think it surprised a few people, and you get pretty much the old school atmosphere, which probably the pro game's gone away from at the top level. That working class game as such, where you can come in the bar and just the full day of it. So yeah, I mean, our ground, especially behind the goal on Tuesday night, it was a proper football game. I must say the night was really enjoyable.
And again, I mean, same sort of question as I just said to Lee. I mean, how do you sort of keep yourself sort of nerve free, and how do you sort of do the same thing with the players? Because I would have thought some of those players by now the nerves will start to build between now and Monday. And last time you played them at home, you had a real good result, a 6-2 win. So I mean, how do you sort of keep everybody on a level playing field? Is that going to be down to you and your coaches in any training sessions you've got planned between now and then?
To be honest, we generally go to the pub together. We normally go to Wetherspoons, to be honest. So we'll keep the nerves down. Anything. No, but we do. One thing we've got a good bond amongst us. We're only a small squad, but no, the lads get the best out of each other. And, like I said, they were really up for the game on Tuesday. And they'll be determined again coming on Monday. And it's like I said to them, whatever happens, they've been absolutely brilliant all season. So we're going to enjoy it. Again, we'll travel there and we'll be hopefully ready and certainly we'll give everything that we've got to try and get us to where we want to be. And as regards to me, I was straight up with matchsticks popping my eyes up and straight into school in the next day. So that I've got a million kids to deal with. So
I mean, you're a school teacher. Is that what your job is?
Yeah, I teach PE in a primary school. So yeah, so it's straight away. I was straight back at it on my push bike in the morning. I was there.
So no pressure from the kids then. I mean, they must know what you've done and what you're going into.
Yeah, they've just been saying, "Oh, Mr. Stevens, I seen you on this last night," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, Sam." But no, as a town though, they're really looking forward to it. But like I said the other night, the players said like, "Yeah, brilliant. Let's enjoy the night." And now the big focus now is Peterborough on Monday.
And I mean, in previous times, I'm sort of, I mean, how many times have you played Peterborough Sports, and who's got the better of each other, you or Jimmy?
To be honest, we've only played each other twice in, with the COVID thing, and we've won one, and Peterborough has won one. So, probably if you look at the table, I'd probably say that would probably be the case, wouldn't it, as well? So yeah, it's a one-game shootout, and two good teams. Peterborough's had an outstanding season as well. So, we know they've got some good players there. So, that's where we're at, to be honest.
I mean, what sort of crowd do you expect in your game with Peterborough at the weekend on Monday?
Well, I think they got nearly 800. I think I might be wrong in that on Tuesday against Overchurch. So I think we'll take a lot there. So I would say no doubt their home support would increase, and we'll have a good away support. So I bet they'll be pushing well over 1,000. I would, in estimation, governing by the bodies that we'll probably be taking.
So I mean, with all that, I mean, what is it like inside the club? With the fans and everything else, and players and board members. I mean, is the buzz there? Is it all sort of like, really sort of ready to explode?
Yeah, and I think as a club as well, we pay within a means. Do you know what I mean? So it's like we've come a long way, and we've done it gradually. We've not been boom and bust and a high turnaround of players and all that. We've kept a close bunch, and as a football club, we're a close bunch. It's certainly a family club, and yeah, I think they're excited by it. And we've been fortunate. We've had some good occasions over the years. I know previously, like when we got to Wembley and the Vars, a promotion on the back of that. Then we've had numerous playoff finals. We've had good trophy runs, FA Cup runs, and then we had a promotion into this level through the playoffs when Tommy Brookbanks was manager. So that was a fantastic season there. And then we've come back. I'll come back from Grantham, and we've been fortunate that we've been mixing around the top parts of the league. So yeah, it's great for the people involved in the everyday running of it. Because it's such a tight club. We're a tight community, an ex-mining town, and they're really getting behind us. So it's testament to how far we've come, because a hell of a lot bigger clubs than us who haven't made the playoffs. So like I said, we're enjoying every minute of it.
So I mean, a question for you and Lee and as well. I mean, together. I mean, are you both, as a club, both your clubs, are they ready for the next step up? I mean, is there anything works that need to be done, or are both clubs ready for the next step up? If you was lucky enough to get into the next step on Monday.
As regards to us, yeah, it's like I've always said, I'll have a go at anything. You look at the clubs in there, established ex-professional football clubs, football league clubs, and for me, it's about a challenge, and I look at teams such as your Leamingtons who have gone into that league, and not the biggest of clubs like ourselves, and Paul Halloran's done a fantastic job there. And even at our level, money doesn't guarantee you anything unless you know what you're doing with it as such. So yeah, let's get there, and then we'll certainly organise ourselves and be ready for it.
Bristol Manor Farm, Lee, are they ready for the next step?
Yeah, exactly. As gentlemen said, it'd probably be a headache for us in terms of the committee and that to get certain things ready and right, but it's all doable. I mean, there's a lot of interest and enthusiasm in the club, and a lot of people willing to help organise it and make sure that we're ready if that time comes. Obviously, we've got a big task on Monday ahead of us, and we're going to give that a big go. And then if we are lucky enough to win that game, then you can rest assured we will be ready for the next level, even though it's going to take a lot of work ethic between now and maybe start of that season. But first and foremost, it's all like Monday for us.
So, I mean, we spoke about, I mean, I was just talking there, Adam was just saying about big clubs, and for me, one of those names, especially around this sort of area, that Isthmian League that I've dealt with previously, one of the big clubs that was in there, of course, is Spencer's Farnborough. And Spencer, I mean, your semi-final, I mean, you was also playing a team that, of course, we know very well around this area in Met Police, but I would say your league was possibly one of the most competitive leagues of the lot, because I know Steve was always talking about stick a hat over everybody and anybody could win it. So, I mean, how was your semi-final against Met Police and on the other night?
We didn't start well. We could have been a goal down in 12 seconds. They've hit the bar from 5 yards. I mean, so yeah, it didn't start well at all. And you know, we semi-finals are notoriously difficult, and we look particularly nervous. And we didn't play well first half. Met Police have had a fabulous season, and as you said, reality is if we played our full choice team on the previous Saturday at Taunton, I'm fairly confident we would have beaten them. We beat them previously, and they were very nervous. So I think that would have contributed to it, and we would have ended up on 88 points. So we would have lost the league on goal difference. So we knew that we wouldn't get a 12-goal swing. That was ridiculous. So we rested six players, I think it was. So it was a very nervous semi-final. We got Met Police in the FA Cup as well, so we played them in a replay. So we knew each other backwards, and there was literally nothing in it. We were very good in the second half, and thankfully, as we'd rested a lot of players Saturday, we were strong in extra time, and you know, we edged the game. There's no doubt about it. But very nervous, very difficult night, and a huge amount of relief just to get to the final.
I mean, it sounds exciting. Anybody that hasn't seen what I've just looked at myself, actually, because the football web pages doesn't necessarily update itself as quick as you want it to. But it's, you know, you just have a quick flick on there, and you know, Met Police take the lead in 85 minutes. You equalise in 90, and then get the winner in the 95th. I mean, it sounds like it was a bit of a humdinger, a bit like the two Isthmian Premier finals last night.
Well, it was probably worse than that for us. So when we played Met Police in the FA Cup replay, by Met Police's own words, we were absolutely outstanding. We just couldn't score. Met Police are so well drilled, and pretty much their only attempt on goal was in the 89th minute, and we went out 1-0 in the replay, and it happened again. You know, in the second half, it was their first attempt on goal. They scored in the 85th, and you know, your heart sinks. You know, your heart sinks because we've been so much better in the second half, but you just can't fault the boys. You know, they you know, we just wouldn't lie down, and we got what we deserved. You know, equalised, and then obviously went on and won the game. But yeah, they're notoriously difficult semi-finals. I've been through a few, and you just want to make sure you get into the final, and then who knows what will happen.
Mm. I mean, you know, looking at yours, I mean, just under 1,000 there as well. I mean, that's another great crowd, considering, you know, no disrespect to Met Police, they're not going to necessarily bring loads because they're not got the biggest following. But I mean, 947, great, great sort of crowd there. But I mean, again, same sort of questions as I've asked the other guys. How are you keeping your sort of level head, you know, going into Monday's final? And you know, it's and same with the players. Are you going to get that chance to meet up with the players to take on Paul's, Hayes and Yedding? And you know, because again, you look at the two sides that are in that final, you'd say they're two real powerhouses of non-league football going up against each other over the last few years. If you take COVID out of it, you know, Hayes and Yedding and Farnborough. So it's going to be a cracking tie.
Do you know what? I can't speak for the players, of course. I'm totally relaxed about it. I was so nervous for the semi-final. I knew that it was going to be a ridiculously tight game, having played Met so many times. You know, we're massive underdogs. Hayes and Yedding should have won this league. You know, they're a fantastic side. You know, they play where Ted Lasso is filmed. They get a monster fee for that. Good luck to them. You know, we know that we will have to be at our very best, but we're embraced that. We're very relaxed about it. We're in training Saturday. Again, we've given them tonight off. We had a very long extra time game Tuesday, and we're very relaxed about it. You know, it's almost a free shot to us. We've got some very good players. You know, we're disappointed we didn't win the league, but as there were 3-4 teams, as you say, well, as I said, it could easily have just gone down to goal difference. And so, you know, we've had tough games against Hayes. We played them very early in the season, and we got absolutely tonked, to be fair. And we know that they can blow away anyone. They've scored over 100 goals. They've demolished national sides this year, 5-0 in the FA Cup. They were the better team against Dorking, and I watched the replay. And that tells you all you need to know. But it's a final, and we're looking forward to it. We've got some very good players. And I said, honestly, the pressure's off, and there's a lot of laughing and smiling now, but there certainly wasn't before Tuesday. That was horrific. I didn't get any sleep before or after, and so that's just relief. But playoff finals, they really are the cliche lottery. Hayes are a very strong side. Taunton are, Met Police, ourselves, and it's been a phenomenal season. Whatever happens, we won the Hampshire Cup, and we beat strong sides in that. And what did we have in that? Aldershot, Bournemouth, and Eastleigh. So we're a very good side. On our day, we can beat anybody. We know Hayes, fabulous team, and we're just looking forward to it. And we're just all happy to be there. And it's a final, and so you can't win it if you're not in the final. So all the managers you're talking now, it's having had that experience. Teams that get too nervous, I can tell you, they predominantly freeze on the day. And there was some interesting results in the semi-finals, and it is that lottery, the playoffs.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, we went through them with Harlow myself 3 times, and it was horrendous. 1 year, 21 points clear of the team in fourth, and ended up being beat in the semi-final.
It happens.
Not a great place to be. But I mean, so when you get to sort of the game on Monday, how do you sort of calm that sort of, or get that nervous energy, out of their legs and out of their bodies? Because I heard one of the managers say last night in the Isthmian, in his end the game interview, that one of his best players, got stitched and got as such sort of early on in the game, and he said that was nervous energy. There was nothing in there. He's one of the fittest players they've got, but it was nervous energy that just caught up with him. So I mean, how, in a club like yourself and the other managers, how do you get that sort of nervous energy out of the players before the game starts?
It's very difficult. There's no definitive answer, because if there was, we'd all do it. It's going to be a big attendance on Saturday. We're all disappointed that the council has capped the attendance at 1,600. So, and it's a bit of a fiasco with tickets at the moment, because there doesn't seem to be online ticket sales. It's all going to be by paper, which is just nuts. So we've got, like, I'm sure all the managers in this group, you don't get into playoff finals without a fantastic dressing room. It just doesn't happen. And we've got an incredible bunch. There has been a huge amount of camaraderie this year. They play cricket in the dressing room before the games, before I start talking. They came up with that themselves. And there's just a lot of banter. And as I said, in our perspective, there were definitely a lot of nerves before the semi-final, because no one wants to go out of semi-final. A final is a final, and anything can happen in it. So you've got to try and relax them. I think training on Saturday is important. They'll get a lot of information. But we know about Hayes. We only played them 3-4 weeks ago. It was 0-0. Paul has got a brilliant squad there. He's got a great group. They've played some really big clubs. They've had some fantastic FA Cup games. The stadium's going to be very busy. It almost certainly will be a sellout, and it's disappointing, because I think if tickets were more readily available, I think you'd be talking 2,500 plus. So that's disappointing, but you've just got to go out and enjoy it. And it is difficult, because it's the end of 9 months, really hard work. But to me, in our position, Hayes have been the best side in the division. That's with the greatest respect to Taunton. They were on a fabulous run, and good luck to them. And they had fantastic support. But Hayes are a fantastic side, but so are we. We finished a point behind them. As I said, we would have been above them, I feel, if we played our full team on the last day. So try and relax them. But there's always something that happens in a playoff final. It's very rare that it just goes exactly as you predict, and you've just got to be ready. And that's where your experienced lads come in. And we're going to try and make it as enjoyable as we can. But of course, ultimately, we're desperate to win the game.
So it might be a bit silly question for Farmer, but all set up. If you beat Hayes in Yeading, are you all set up for National League? I mean, are you all there ready to go? And no changes got to be made to the ground or anything? No,
I mean the stadium's outrageous. The stadium is probably in a week you could have it graded for League 2 or possibly even League 1. So that's definitely not a problem. I think the club's been through so much turmoil in the last 20 years that I think we've got to be careful. We've been so restrictive. I was a big advocate of what we did in the COVID year. In the COVID year, my budget was literally a few expenses, and we kept all that money towards this year. And that means we lost 7 out of our 8 league games. We literally, I didn't believe the season would happen. And sadly, we were right. The season got curtailed very, very quickly. So, we've been putting back the reputation, we think, on and off the pitch of the Farnborough Football Club for the past sort of 6-7 years. Fantastic volunteers. The support is growing slowly. a new younger breed of supporters is coming along, which we all need to embrace. And they're enjoying a fantastic season, whatever happens, on Monday. And steady growth, I think, is definitely the way to go. We don't want to be going through boom bust. We've got no debt. We've got a great group of experienced players with the youth players, and we use the loan system because it's how you balance your budget. We train on the pitch. We've had one coach in 7 years, and that was this season. To away travel, the players drive everywhere, and look at the clubs we've got in our division. Truro, Weston-super-Mare, Tiverton, Taunton. So they drive to all those games. So to us, it's just been a celebration of a year, and it's a one-off game, and we look forward to it, and we'll give it everything we've got. We'll have fantastic support, and fingers crossed we'll come out the right side of it. And if we go up, great. We'll be in the absolute financial pit of the National South, which it's got full-time clubs in it. I mean, that's we have to bear that in mind. Some monster clubs in that division. But of course, we'll embrace that and look forward to it. And if we don't, we'll look forward to another positive season next year. Life's too short, especially with what everyone's been through in the last couple of years. We desperately want to win. We want to keep moving up, but in the same breath, it's a game of football, and sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture.
Well, absolutely, Spencer. I wish you all the best with that. I mean, one of the managers that's on this sort of interview session that has been through the absolute ringer. He must have been for the last sort of 2 weeks. But of course, that's yourself, Eddie, down at Northley. I mean, if the other guys don't know the situation with Eddie, 1 minute he's in the playoffs, 1 minute he's not in the playoffs, 1 minute he's lost the last games, not in the playoffs again, then he's back in the playoffs. Excuse my terminology, but how the hell have you managed to plan for your semi-final?
Well, we didn't at all, actually, because at the final game of the season, it became a shootout between us and Welling, and we were leading at the start of the day. We were 2 goals better off than them, so we knew what we had to do. We had to go and score goals versus Colney Heath, who were already relegated, and win that game. And we were confident going into it because we've got one of the better away records in the league. Colney were already down, so we're thinking, right, let's go and win the game. And as football has it, we go and get beat. Welling go and score 7, and we're dejected after the game. We're feeling like we failed. We're out of the playoffs, and what still would have been an amazing season to finish in the top 6 felt like disaster. Felt like we had lost everything. And then it was.
Eddie, if I can I'll come back to you in 2 seconds because Mr. Halsey's got another meeting to go to. So that's I'll just quickly talk to Paul and I'll jump back to you if that's all right because he's giving me grief. He always gives me grief. I've got no, you're right. Listen,
kids are coming in the office. Skipper, he's just sporting, but you carry on with Eddie because.
I mean, Paul, we'll jump to you just quickly so you can get away and then we'll go back to Eddie. Sorry, Eddie. I mean, Paul, literally, your game, I was listening to it on the radio. It sounded an absolute cracker of a game, all the way through to penalties, winning that game on penalties. I mean, what was the atmosphere like down at Dunstable?
Well, it weren't mate. I'll tell you, my nails are short and whatever they were before. It was great, we had the majority of fans there and that was brilliant. It felt like a home game, but the game was, we started it really, really quick and could have gone 1-0 up early doors as early as the first 10 minutes, but we just couldn't get that breakthrough. I think, it's easy to say that they took their foot up, we took our foot off the pedal and let Dunstable go in, make these silly mistakes and give a silly penalty away. Fortunately, they missed that penalty. Second half was much really end to end, and it was very hard. I don't know if Eddie's been down there recently, but the pitch at Dunstable used to be one of the best, but it was certainly weren't the best on Tuesday. It was hard to get down and play football. They had chances in the second half. We had chances in the second half, went into the playoffs, and listen, when it goes to into the extra time, once you get into the extra time, it's just one thing I'm telling them, they just got to go and win that game because I didn't want penalties. I don't think anyone really wants penalties in the games, but I just wanted to win that game and get done with. But you know, it went into penalties, and we won it on penalties. So it was very nerve-biting for me, fans of it, but involved. I think it's the same. I think most of us will have that little bit of nerve. You don't try and put that onto the players. You want the players to play, and that. But luckily, yeah, we won the penalty shootout, and like as I say, if you've seen any of the videos, the fans were, and I've got to say it, and I keep saying it, were outstanding. They're brilliant.
And of course, now you've got this game against Eddie, of course, on Monday, and well, it's going to be a cracking game and a cracking atmosphere, isn't it?
Well, it's got penalties all over it because both of us.
0-0, yeah.
0-0, so it's going to be on the record.
It'll probably be 7-7.
Both games between Northley and us have always, I think they've you know, when they came here, it was a cracking game, and it was at their place. They could have scored, we could have scored in the last seconds of the game, and they had chances in the first half, but. You know, I think that we cancelled each other out. We know about each other. We both would have done, you know, even though we've played each other twice, we'd have done our own work on Tuesday night. And yeah, so it's in for a good game.
What do you reckon the crowd's going to be, Paul?
Well, I think the crowd's going to be about, personally, I reckon you could be up to about, I don't know, I think about 1,000, but it could be bigger. It's hard to call. We've got a lot of youth teams. You know, the feedback I'm getting from everyone is there's going to be everyone be here. So, but we just have to wait and see. Bank holiday weekend, people might be away, but I'd like to think there might be about 1,000 people here. So, hence why I've got another meeting now with the chairman and his wife and everyone else involved in putting together. I don't just run the football team here, me. I'll tell you. Oh no.
So I mean, one of the things as well. I mean, is it a case of get there early as well? Because have you got additional parking and stuff like that as well for the game?
Well, you know, there's plenty of parking here anyway, but that will quickly fill up. Woodson Park, the sports centre, because it's a bank holiday, won't be open. We've asked them to give us the field where we normally put extra cars, and hopefully they'll agree to that. But yeah, I mean, listen, they're going to be 4 turnstiles open. I don't know the last time we had 4 turnstiles open, but bit of WD-40, so they'll all be open. A lot of people will be working. There's a lot of people starting on a Monday morning here early, getting it ready. So it's, as much as it's nice to be at home, it can be like a lot of work involved to host that home game. So yeah.
I mean, with it as well, though, I mean, you've got a full fit squad to go. I mean, I know you're probably not going to tell me the truth because Eddie's sitting right there. But I mean, is everybody all okay?
Yeah, listen, we're in tonight. We're in tonight. 2 of them. The only one who's missing tonight is my right back. He's thinking he's got a bit of food poisoning. So we'll train on Saturday, but they're in tonight to do some stretching. Lot of hours. You know, it's worked well for us. And I said the other day that we play Tuesday, and then we go to Monday. I look at the Ishmael North. They played like Tuesday, and they're playing Friday. So we've got a good recovery. So they'll come in with a physio tonight, do a little bit, and we'll train on Saturday. I expect to be there then. I've got one concern, he'll be in to see the physio. Other than that, I should be available.
So with this food poisoning, you didn't get your lasagna for the meal from Northley, did you?
I think Eddie's sent one of these guys down there to sort of the food at Dunstable. We've been done over.
Listen, mate, thanks very much. And we'll speak again soon. I'll let you go. Go on, because you can get...
Thanks very much. I wish everyone...
No worries, mate. No problem. And I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. I wish everyone in this meeting the best of luck. Sorry, Eddie, I don't mean you, though, yeah?
See you, Paul.
I look forward to seeing you Monday, mate.
See you out.
Take care. Thank you.
So, I mean, sorry, Eddie. I mean, back to yourself. How trying was it though? Going back to the situation with Welling Garden City, how trying was it for you, the players, the club? You was going through the scenario of what it was, but it must have been a bit of a nightmare because you didn't know what was going on from one minute to the next.
Yeah, the difficulty, the most difficult part of it was probably picking up the players again. So once we found out on Sunday that we were actually in the playoffs, all the players knew before me because I had my phone off. I got out with my family and didn't pay attention to the meeting which was going on. So it was, first off, the players didn't believe in themselves. I saw in the group chat they thought the skipper who likes to laugh and a joke, they thought he was just messing about. It wouldn't have been a funny joke, but they didn't believe him for whatever reason. It was picking them up. So we came in on the Monday because we train on Mondays anyway. It's an unwritten rule that everyone trains Tuesday, Thursday in non-league, and we train on a Monday so we can have facilities. And so getting them in was quite simple in terms of we are in. It was just making sure it was patchwork. It was getting people fit enough to play. So we had a few players missing. We had a couple named on the bench who couldn't have got on even if they wanted to. We had to just fill the bench, and it was testament because we ended the game really fit, looking really fit, really strong. Whereas I think we outran Burko in the end because they had a couple going down with cramp and having to go off after they'd made their subs. So that was really pleasing that we finished the game so strong, and it felt like we could have gone on for another half hour.
A quick question for the other three managers that are still with us. With Northley going in and coming in at the last minute because of the situation with Welling Garden City, if you don't know what that was, with them being sort of taken out of the playoffs, do they then become, if you're as old as what I am, they become the Denmark back in 1992 in the Euro Championships, where all of a sudden they become the really, really dangerous side because, no disrespect to Eddie, they were out of it. They weren't in the playoffs. Now all of a sudden they're in it. They've got nothing to lose as such. Would you be really, really sort of uptight about playing someone like a Northley if that was a scenario in your league? Adam?
Yeah, I think, it's always a difficult one. I mean, we had it with Overchurch who got in the last day where Wishington Diamonds were favourites and Overchurch snuck in. And on paper they've been on a great run and got in on the last day, and they went to Peterborough Sports and by all accounts gave them a real good game, and then to get in it by like Eddie was saying, how they've got in it, the players have probably gone from zero, like with their heads everything, then suddenly wow, it's like a gift, isn't it? And you know what? And it can give you a massive boost. You start thinking, wow, I'll tell you what, we've messed up on that Saturday, but wow, you never get these chances through like that, do you? So I think they'll be buzzing going into that.
Yeah, it probably gives them a bit of a free hit, really, doesn't it? So the pressure's probably off. They become a bit more of a dangerous animal. So you wouldn't really want to be coming up against a side like that. But again, on a day of a game, both sides got a certain amount of pressure that you put on yourselves anyway. So like I say, it's a bonus for them, and they're going to try and take full advantage of that.
Spencer?
You've also got to remember that even though they've squeezed in, that they were obviously very close to the playoffs, so they're a very good side anyway. So I think if you underestimate the side that I suppose finished sixth in the division, you'd be a poor manager anyway. So they were always going to be a tough game, and that free shot is fantastic, but it's also the fact that they're clearly a good side to finish sixth in the league, and they've been upgraded to fifth, so they've got every chance. But the playoffs are a lottery. I mean, it's how many times, if you go back in statistics, will you see the team that finished second or third, if the top two have gone up, has gone and won the playoffs? It certainly doesn't happen every year. And the cliche is, isn't it, as you said, that you can finish 10, 20 points above a team over 8 months of a season, and you don't get promoted to the team that's finished 10, 20 points behind you. That's the playoffs. It's exciting, keeps everybody interested, and I think it's the right thing to do. But you're talking about good sides, whatever. You're not taking a side suddenly from the bottom of the league and throwing them in the playoffs. So they've earned it by right, and I'm sure they're a very good side, and that's the fun of the playoff final. Anything can happen. And you never forget the referees, the officials as well. Crikey, let's just hope none of us are talking about them on finals day, because so much can happen. It's and you've got to try and be prepared for everything, and that's of course where your experienced players come in, and experienced management as well. You've got to try and be prepared for everything. I'm sure we've all done a few penalty shootouts practice as well, and we certainly have been. And see what happens, but try and enjoy it. It's we've got a very experienced player at our club who's been in the Championship. He's been sold for very many millions of pounds, a lad called Ricky Holmes. And he said to all the players many weeks ago, he said, he's been playing whatever it is, 20 odd years really, at a very high level. And he said, he's only been in 2 or 3 promotion battles in all that time. So you've got to try and enjoy it. It's not easy. It's not easy for management, but you've got to try and enjoy it, because it doesn't come around every year.
Absolutely. But Eddie, I mean, one of the things, it must be a massive credit to you and your coaching staff to be able to, and to the players as well. But, for you guys to actually not be in it, then to sort of pick them all up and then go to Berkhamsted, who pushed Bedford all the way, in all fairness, in the league. And, most people would have looked at, Berkhamsted as maybe a bit of a shoe-in to go up with Bedford. And you've gone there and beat them 2-1 and in a fantastic game. Another, a few late goals and flying around all over the place in that one as well. But I mean, what was the team talk like for you before the game started?
I've probably done it leading up to that for the weeks before. But I notoriously like to speak a lot to the players, and I got the players to say what they appreciate about their teammates and the team. So I went through a couple of 3 or 4 players and said, "What do you appreciate about him?" And the noticeable thing was that they all said really simple things, that they're vocal, that they run for them, that they make good decisions. It was really basic, simple stuff. And I said, right, so our game plan is quite simple. It's and we just do the basics to a high level. And that was basically the team talk. Do everything that we do really well. Do it really well. Do it better than you've done it before, and that'll see you through. But
that dressing room and the trip home must have been something else, mustn't it? 1 minute not in, and now all of a sudden you're 90 minutes away from step 3.
Yeah, it was a really good celebration at the final whistle. There was a couple of people who are really important to us who weren't there, who we got on the FaceTime in the changing room, and they got to share in the moment with us. So that was brilliant. But then it was quickly tempered by the fact that you don't want to celebrate a semi-final win when you've got a final coming up. And so that's what tonight's about. We'll be in tonight, and we'll get out the way all the things that could be a distraction. So the travel, the tickets, and so on and so forth. We'll discuss all that tonight, and get together. And again, today will be about recovery. We've drafted in a couple of extra physio staff to patch up our players so we can go full tilt again come Monday.
I mean, how many was in the crowd? Do you know how many was in the crowd at Burko?
No, do you know what? I don't know, but it was good that our coach was full with players and fans, and I know we've already got a near full subscription of a coach to take with us, plus whoever comes drives down as well. So it'll be good that the players get to experience the crowd. Our crowds have been growing all season, so that's another positive for us as well.
So I mean, the club as well, with the club, ready to move up a step to step 3 if you beat Ware on Monday.
Yeah, like there will be some things which you'd have to improve quite quickly, as almost overnight. But the club's in a position to do that, and the club wants to get promoted. They don't have to do it this year, but it would like to. So it's been said already. You do not get many chances at a proper tilt at going for the leagues or going for promotions. So I wasn't always one who subscribed to enjoy the game. Okay, so I didn't ever know what that meant. You enjoy the game, but I can enjoy the game and take shots from halfway line and do skills, but if I get spanked, it's not going to be that fun. So the players have taught me what it means to enjoy the game, and you do that, and much harder to enjoy the game from the sideline because you're not playing, but you learn to influence it in different ways, and we enjoyed the game on in the playoff on Tuesday because we did everything that we talked about. I mean, the talks at extra time, at full time, and half time, and extra time, everything we said happened almost in order of the halves, and including the way we scored. So that was probably most rewarding. That we were just so calm and so clear in those moments where we got together.
I mean, 0-0. I mean, we're trying to sell the game, and so
no, let's go straight to.
I mean, what you know, hopefully I'll be there myself, on Monday. But I mean, will you look at different ways to tinker the team a little bit around, or different tactics maybe from what you've done previously, maybe to get that breakthrough against them?
We'll use everything at our disposal. Personnel will probably be different due to the availability and fitness. So, but everyone knows that, like I said, like Paul said, we know each other's teams probably. So in a cup match, which it essentially is now, you like to have a bit of an X factor and something different, which is hard to prepare for. So we'll definitely throw everything we've got at the game and trying to win it.
So as managers and yourself, Eddie, and the rest of the guys, does your mindset change now? Because all of a sudden we've gone from a 40-odd sort of league season. Now all of a sudden it seems to have changed from being a league, and we're now into a cup competition. So the way you play the games, does that change a little bit because it's a cup competition?
Only slightly. I still prepare the same way. I always start off with, like, how can we get beat today, and go through that throughout the week and start from there. But then there's got to be a time in the game in any game where you show ambition, where you maybe take a bit of a risk. So it's tempered with both of them. I'm more on the cautious side. Lex, my coach, my assistant, is more on the expansive side. So we kind of meet somewhere in the middle there.
And the other guys, I mean, is it a different mindset for you guys from league to cup?
As far as I believe in what we do, and I'll stick to that philosophy, which is served as well. So now I tend to concentrate on what we're good at, to be honest.
Lee?
Yeah, like exactly that. You believe in what's got you to this position, so you got to trust that and hopefully continue it. The only thing that may change is as you go deeper into 90 minutes, or if it does go into extra time, bending your substitutions in terms of you don't want to be taking a penalty taker off the field of play if he's getting deep in the end of extra time, and it may go on to penalties. So that's the only thing that you probably look at. But other than that, you just trust the situation has got you there.
Spencer?
Yeah, as the other guys have said, we'll change almost nothing, and with the exception of looking at potentially extra time and penalties, where I like to be extremely detailed, so we'll go into a great deal of detail with that point. But as far as all the preparation goes and what we do at training and on the day and at half time will all be the same. But obviously, there's got to be a result on the day, and that's the only thing that changes. I would certainly not recommend anybody doing something different. And you do have to manage the nerves from the perspective. Players will be very keen to be running out into the pitch early day, instead of the normal time, and it's not a good idea. So you've got to try and keep as much normality, I think, as possible. And one of the phrases we'll use before they go out is, let's not do anything, different. Let's not go do anything daft. Just because it's a playoff final, and it does mean a lot. And let's not go and do something silly. Let's stick to what got us into this position. And in our case, that's got us. We've been right at the top all season. So let's not do anything daft.
One question for all of you, and all I'd like from you is either a yes or a no answer for this question. But I heard a conversation with one of the managers previously, and the question was, in the final, do you have a goalkeeper on the bench? Lee?
No.
Adam?
Yes.
Eddie?
No.
Spencer?
I always like to be different. So the answer is don't know. We do have a goalkeeper that we've got on loan from Watford that we've had on loan at the start of the season, and then we went in a different direction because of COVID. He is, and it was always planned to be on the bench for the semi-final and hopefully, and now what is the final. But he's picked up an injury for Watford 23. So the answer is yes, he will be on the bench should he be fit.
Okay. And the reason I asked that question was because one of the managers that I interview regularly every week from the East Midlands League, I do a lot of work for, he was debating on his semi-final whether or not he should play a goalkeeper in goal or not. And he asked me what I thought, and I said, well, if it was me, it would be a definite yes, because the last thing I'd want to do is have a keeper go down after 2 minutes and then end up losing because I haven't got a goalkeeper on the bench. But I was just curious how you guys, where you were with your thinkings, but that's great. But listen, guys, I really, really do appreciate you all coming on and joining us on the Southend preview. I really do. Wish everybody at Bristol Manor Farm all the very, very best for your final. The same at Colville, the same at Farnborough, and of course the same at Northfleet and at Ware. And of course, Winchester as well, who couldn't join us today. Wish them all the best in theirs as well. Hopefully you get the result that you guys want. But a massive thank you for you guys for joining us today. Really, really appreciate it. And hopefully you all move up a step. Because I can say that because you're not playing each other. So I hope you all move up a step for next season. But massive thank you for joining us and wish you all the very, very best. But from
Good luck, fellas. Good luck.
Steve will hopefully be back with us as well. We'll have a preview or a review of the finals next week with Steve. But until then, from everybody else, thank you and good night.
Good luck, fellas.
All the best.
Look up.